First of all, I would like to thank Amita ma'am for giving me this opportunity. Today I will be discussing 3 papers in endometrial cancer. Which are comparing total abdominal hysterectomy with total laparoscopic hysterectomy on various parameters. First study is the impact of body mass index on surgical cost and surgical morbidity. As we all know, surgery is the cornerstone in management of endometrial cancer. Obesity, as defined by BMI, increases the surgical complications and hence increases the treatment cost. This hypothesis was tested in this first retrospective hypothesis. All patients who had endometrial cancer and who underwent hysterectomy for endometrial cancers were identified. Those patients should have had also BMI data with them, and then the patients were divided into 3 BMI groups, that is normal or overweight, obese patients and morbidly obese patient. Difference in 30 days surgical complications, acute care outcomes and cost were compared. As we can see, age, Charlson's comorbidity index and lymphadenectomy was not equally distributed in all 3 BMI groups. Age and Charlson's comorbidity index was higher in BMI more than 40 group, and lymphadenectomy rates were lower in BMI more than 40 group. Coming to the complications, only 2 complications, that is wound infections and venous thromboembolism rates were higher in BMI more than 40 group. When we look at wound infection, when all patients were compared, patients who had BMI more than 40 group had more wound infection, and this was predominantly contributed by open abdominal surgery group. However, if you see at the minimally invasive surgery group, there was no change in wound infection rate when in all 3 BMI groups. However, venous thromboembolism was higher in patients who had BMI more than 40 group in both open abdominal surgery group as well as minimally invasive surgery group. Coming to the cost was higher in BMI more than 40 groups and more so if it was an open abdominal surgery group. If there were complications occurred, the cost incurred was higher, and it was more so in open abdominal surgery group and if the BMI was more than 40. The limitations of this study is that it is a retrospective analysis. Initially 83,000 patients were identified, out of which 82,000 had to be excluded. There are many factors which are mentioned in the literature which are known to cause adverse events during surgery which are not mentioned in this study. Another thing that didn't feature in the methodology of this study is that how the surgical choice was made. In spite of these limitations, the study results are in line with the literature. To conclude, minimally invasive surgery should be offered to the morbidly obese patient if the oncological outcomes are similar and the surgeon has the expertise to do so. We will see these questions are addressed in the next 2 studies. Next study is the use of uterine manipulator, whether it will influence the disease-free survival and recurrence rate in early stage endometrial cancer. This study was planned as oncological outcome data about minimally invasive surgery is minimal. Logical thinkers considered that uterine manipulator which is used during the minimally invasive surgery would lead to tumor cell dissemination during surgery and it would increase the recurrence rate. The study was as a corollary was planned as during minimally invasive surgery we use the uterine manipulator. This is a non-randomized study. It is a prospective observational kind of study in which early stage endometrial cancer either underwent laparoscopy or laparotomy. The primary outcomes of the study were 2, that was 60-month overall survival and 60-month disease-free survival. Coming to the post-op complications, as you can see in the laparoscopy arm, the operating time was significantly lower as compared to the laparotomy arm. and the post-operative pain medication requirement and the median hospital stay was significantly lower in the laparoscopy arm as compared to the laparotomy arm. Looking at the oncological outcome, both overall survival and disease-free survival were similar in both the group, though in disease-free survival it is numerically higher in laparoscopy group. The strength of this study was that they had 60-month, that is a long-term follow-up, and there was a uniform use of uterine manipulator in all the patient. The limitations is that it was a non-randomized trial, there was no power calculation, there were 2 primary endpoints, and they have not mentioned how the P was divided, and it is a small study. In spite of this limitation, with the limited nature of the study, we can say that type of surgical approach might not influence the oncological outcome. Let's see the third trial, which is a LACE trial which was presented in IGCS this year. What did the results of the LAP2 trial show us? This was a LAP2 trial that was published in JCO in 2012, which addressed the similar question as that of LACE trial. In LAP2 trial, they randomized the patient to laparoscopy and laparotomy arm in the proportion of 2:1. The aim of the study was to prove the non-inferiority of laparoscopy over laparotomy. The non-inferiority margin was set as no more than 40% increase in the recurrence rate in laparoscopy group as compared to the laparotomy group. However, the result of this study showed that the hazard ratio for occurrence of a recurrence was 1.14, which was outside the protocol specified boundary. Statistically speaking, this trial failed to show the non-inferiority of laparoscopy over laparotomy. The LACE trial was done to see the equivalence between total abdominal hysterectomy and total laparoscopic hysterectomy in terms of disease-free survival. It was a randomized control trial which randomized 753 patients into laparoscopy group or laparotomy group. There was a follow-up of 4.5 years. The non-inferiority margin was set as 7%. The outcomes of the study showed that at 4.5 years there was 17% recurrences, 16% in the laparotomy group and 17% in the TLH group. The primary outcome of the study was met. The disease-free survival was similar in both the groups. When we look at the review of literature, various retrospective studies and the LAP2 trial showed us that the complication rates are lesser with in TLH group and oncological outcomes are similar as that of TH. So to conclude, TLH has got a similar outcomes as that of total abdominal hysterectomy. Adverse events are lower with TLH, post-operative stay is lower with TLH, and the risk of wound infection, especially in obese ladies, is less with TLH. Thank you.